Living alone in old age can be a unique and sometimes unexpected journey. For some, it's a time of peace and self-discovery, while for others it brings surprising habits, small quirks, and even some laugh-out-loud moments. Have you ever caught yourself having full-blown conversations with inanimate objects? Or maybe you've realized that your dinner habits have turned into something even a 5-year-old would find questionable. Cereal for dinner, anyone? If so, don't worry, you're not alone. In fact, these are just some of the funny, weird, and surprisingly relatable things that happen when we live alone in our later years. The truth is, as we grow older and adjust to life in solitude, our daily habits change in ways we never expected. Some of these changes are simply practical, some are deeply emotional, and others, well, let's just say they'd make for great stand-up comedy material. But here's the thing. While society often paints living alone in old age as a lonely or even sad experience, that's not always the case. In fact, many people embrace their solo lifestyles and even find joy in the little quirks that come with it. That's exactly why we're diving into this topic today. We're not just listing things that happen when you live alone, we're celebrating them. Because, at the end of the day, these little habits and routines are part of what makes life uniquely ours. This video will explore 10 specific things that people tend to do when they live alone in old age. And if you stick around, you might just find yourself nodding along to more than a few of them. Some might make you laugh, others might tug at your heartstrings, and a few might even give you a fresh perspective on your own habits. After all, when you live alone, there's no one around to tell you that watching TV with your pets is unusual, or that talking to your plants like they're your best friends is anything other than perfectly normal. Before we get started, take a second to think. Have you noticed any funny or unexpected habits in yourself or a loved one who lives alone? Maybe you've caught yourself leaving the TV on just for background noise, or perhaps you've started assigning personalities to your kitchen appliances. Trust me, you're not alone in that. If any of this sounds familiar, make sure to stick around because we've got 10 things that will have you saying, "Yep, I do that too." And by the time we reach number 7, you'll see that some of these habits aren't just funny, but actually quite meaningful. So if you're ready to take a light-hearted and heartfelt journey into the everyday reality of living alone in old age, let's get started. Get comfortable, grab your favorite snack. Yes, even if it's ice cream straight out of the container, and let's dive into the first 3 things that living alone makes us do. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Living alone in old age brings a set of behaviors that might seem odd to outsiders but make perfect sense to those experiencing them. Whether it's finding creative ways to entertain ourselves, developing new routines, or simply embracing the quirks of solitude, these habits become second nature over time. To kick off our list, let's dive into the first 3 things that tend to happen when we live alone, starting with one that might make you chuckle because, let's be honest, we all do it. 1. Talking to objects and yourself, because why not? Have you ever caught yourself holding a full conversation with your houseplants, your furniture, or even your reflection in the mirror? Living alone often leads to a habit of verbalizing thoughts out loud, sometimes without even realizing it. It starts innocently enough, maybe a casual "where did I put my keys?" as you search the house. But before you know it, you're giving your vacuum cleaner a pep talk before starting your chores or apologizing to the coffee table when you bump into it. This habit isn't as strange as it seems. Studies have shown that talking to oneself can actually improve cognitive function, help with memory recall, and reduce stress. Plus, in the absence of constant human interaction, it just feels natural to fill the silence. Whether it's sharing a funny observation with your cat, debating with yourself about what to cook for dinner, or giving life advice to an old photograph, talking to yourself isn't a sign of losing your mind. It's just a sign that you've mastered the art of solo living. 2. Eating at odd hours and creating strange meal combinations. When you live alone, you quickly realize that meal schedules are more of a suggestion than a rule. Gone are the days of structured meal times or cooking for multiple people. Instead, you eat when you're hungry, and sometimes that means breakfast at 3 p.m. and dinner at 10 p.m. And let's not forget the newfound freedom to eat whatever you want, whenever you want. Who says you can't have peanut butter straight from the jar or a bowl of cereal for dinner 3 nights in a row? With no one around to judge, food choices become a mix of convenience, nostalgia, and pure personal preference. A leftover slice of pizza with a side of pickles? Sure. Toast with butter and jam for every meal of the day? Why not? The kitchen turns into a space of experimentation where rules don't apply. While it might not always be the healthiest habit, it's a small joy that comes with the independence of living alone. The best part. No one's around to comment on your choices. So if you want to eat ice cream straight from the container while watching your favorite TV show, go for it. 3. Becoming a late-night detective, investigating every noise. When you live alone, every creak, rattle, or gust of wind outside suddenly has the potential to be something suspicious. It doesn't matter how many years you've lived in the same house. At some point, you'll find yourself wide awake at 2 a.m., convinced that the faint sound in the kitchen is an intruder, only to discover that it was just the refrigerator cycling on. This habit is a natural part of solo living. Without another person in the house to confirm that a noise is just the wind, our brains sometimes go into overdrive. The tiniest unfamiliar sound can set off a full-on investigation, complete with cautiously tiptoeing around the house, checking doors and windows, and perhaps even grabbing the nearest makeshift weapon, whether it's a flashlight, a broom, or even a rolling pin. But the funny thing is, after a while, this hyper-awareness turns into an unspoken routine. We get used to the occasional odd noise and learn to laugh at ourselves for being so jumpy. Eventually, those once worrisome sounds become comforting reminders that home is still full of life, even if it's just the pipes settling or the neighbor's cat wandering through the yard. Final thoughts on these habits. These first 3 behaviors are just the beginning of what makes living alone such a unique and sometimes humorous experience. Talking to yourself, eating whenever and whatever you want, and turning into a nighttime detective are all small but meaningful parts of solo living. They might seem quirky at first, but they're proof that independence comes with its own brand of entertainment. If any of these sound familiar, don't worry, you're in good company. And the best part, we've only just scratched the surface. Stick around as we explore the next set of habits that make living alone in old age a journey filled with unexpected surprises. As we continue exploring the quirks and unexpected habits that come with living alone in our later years, it becomes clear that solitude isn't just about being by ourselves. It's about adapting, embracing, and sometimes even laughing at the little things we do to navigate daily life. While some habits are lighthearted and funny, others stem from the deeper emotional and psychological adjustments we make when we live alone. In this section, we'll dive into 3 more things that tend to happen when we embrace solo living. Creating imaginary routines, forming deeper connections with pets and objects, and enjoying the absolute freedom of doing whatever we want, whenever we want. 4. Creating imaginary routines and rituals. One of the first things that happen when we live alone is that we unconsciously build routines that bring structure and comfort to our days. However, unlike traditional routines, like getting up for work or cooking for a family, these routines often don't serve any practical purpose. Instead, they're more about adding a sense of familiarity and rhythm to our solo lives. For example, some people develop small habits like always checking the mail at exactly the same time each day, even if they're not expecting anything. Others set specific rituals, like always drinking tea in the same spot by the window while watching the world go by. Some even create routines with their favorite TV shows, treating reruns as scheduled appointments they simply can't miss. These routines might seem small or even unnecessary, but they hold real emotional significance. They create moments of stability, predictability, and even joy in a life that may otherwise lack structure. When we live alone, these habits become our way of making the house feel alive, even in the quietest moments. 5. Developing deep bonds with pets and even objects. It's no secret that pets become like family when we live alone. But something interesting happens over time. We start talking to them as if they fully understand us, assigning them complex emotions, and even considering their opinions on things. It's not just a matter of feeding them and taking care of them. Pets become trusted companions in the truest sense. But the connection doesn't stop with pets. Many people also develop emotional attachments to objects in their homes. A favorite chair isn't just a piece of furniture. It's the spot where I feel the most comfortable. A decades-old teapot isn't just an appliance. It's a sentimental item filled with years of memories. Some even name their vacuum cleaners or greet their plants as if they were old friends. At first glance, this might seem silly, but in reality, it's a beautiful way to bring warmth and personality into solo living. When we create emotional connections with the things around us, our home no longer feels empty. It feels filled with personality, history, and love. 6. Enjoying absolute freedom, no judgments, no rules. Perhaps one of the most underrated perks of living alone is the complete and total freedom it provides. Without anyone around to judge, question, or influence our decisions, we get to live life on our own terms. That means dancing around the house in pajamas without a care in the world, watching an entire season of a TV show in one sitting, or deciding that today's big accomplishment will be rearranging the spice rack, just because we feel like it. There's also freedom in self-expression. Many people find themselves exploring hobbies they never had time for before, like painting, gardening, or writing. Others let go of societal expectations, finally feeling comfortable dressing however they want or decorating their home exactly the way they like it. This kind of freedom isn't just about making spontaneous choices. It's about reclaiming a sense of individuality. In a world that often tells us how we should behave, dress, and live, solo living allows us to embrace who we truly are without compromise. It's a quiet but powerful form of self-discovery, one that allows us to define happiness on our own terms. Final thoughts on these habits. Living alone in old age isn't just about solitude. It's about the little things we do to make life meaningful. Whether it's sticking to a self-made routine, forming deep bonds with pets and objects, or reveling in the joy of absolute freedom, each of these habits speaks to the human need for connection, comfort, and self-expression. If you found yourself relating to any of these, take it as a sign that you're not just surviving solo living, you're thriving in it. And we're not done yet. Stay with us as we uncover even more things we do when we live alone, some of which may surprise you. As we journey deeper into the experience of living alone in our later years, it becomes evident that solitude isn't just about quirky habits or newfound freedoms. It's also an emotional transformation. Living alone changes the way we think, feel, and interact with the world around us. Some of these changes are positive, leading to personal growth and a deep sense of self-awareness. Others, however, bring challenges that require resilience and adaptability. In this section, we explore 3 more things that happen when we live alone: reminiscing about the past more often, developing a new appreciation for silence, and experiencing unexpected waves of loneliness. These shifts may not always be visible to others, but they profoundly impact our daily lives and shape the way we navigate solitude. 7. Reminiscing about the past more often. When we live alone, the quiet moments give us plenty of time to reflect. Without the daily distractions of a busy household or constant social interactions, our minds often wander back to the past. We think about the people we've loved, the places we've been, and the moments that defined our lives. Sometimes this reminiscing comes in the form of joyful nostalgia, flipping through old photo albums, laughing at youthful adventures, or replaying cherished memories in our minds. Other times, however, these memories can bring a sense of longing or even sadness. We might miss the people who are no longer with us, or wonder how different life would have been if we had made other choices. This is a natural part of aging and living alone. It's a way for our minds to process our experiences and make sense of our personal journey. However, reminiscing isn't just about looking back. It can also be a source of comfort and connection. Many people find joy in writing down their memories, sharing old stories with loved ones, or even revisiting familiar places from their past. In doing so, they keep the past alive in a meaningful way, turning memories into treasures rather than regrets. 8. Developing a deep appreciation for silence. In a world that constantly demands noise and stimulation, one of the most unexpected changes that happen when living alone is a newfound appreciation for silence. At first, the quiet may seem overwhelming or even unsettling, especially for those who have spent years surrounded by family, coworkers, or social gatherings. But over time, silence transforms from an emptiness into a presence, something soothing, peaceful, and deeply valuable. Silence allows for deep thought, creativity, and even emotional healing. It's in these quiet moments that we truly hear ourselves, understanding our own thoughts and feelings in ways that were once drowned out by the chaos of everyday life. Many who live alone find that they no longer need background noise from the television or radio to feel comfortable. Instead, they embrace the stillness, letting it become a sanctuary rather than something to be avoided. This shift in perspective is one of the most profound gifts of solo living. In the silence, we learn to be present, to appreciate the simplicity of life, and to find joy in the little things. Whether it's the sound of birds outside the window, the rustling of leaves, or the simple act of enjoying a cup of tea without distractions. 9. Experiencing unexpected waves of loneliness. Even the most independent and content individuals will occasionally experience loneliness when living alone. It's natural, humans are social creatures. and we thrive on connection. No matter how much we enjoy our own company, there are moments when we wish for someone to share a meal with, laugh with, or simply sit beside us in comfortable silence. Loneliness doesn't always arrive in predictable ways. It can strike during special occasions when we realize we're celebrating alone. It can surface in the evenings when the house feels just a little too quiet. It can even appear in everyday moments, like when we see an old couple walking hand in hand and wonder what it would be like to have that kind of companionship. However, the key to managing loneliness isn't to fear it. It's to acknowledge it and take proactive steps to stay connected. Many who live alone find creative ways to combat isolation, whether it's joining social clubs, engaging in hobbies, or maintaining regular phone calls with friends and family. Some even form new routines that involve interacting with others, like visiting the local cafe, attending community events, or volunteering. Ultimately, loneliness is a part of life, whether we live alone or not. But by recognizing it and taking action, we can ensure that solitude doesn't turn into isolation. Instead, we can use it as an opportunity to cultivate deeper relationships, strengthen our emotional resilience, and appreciate the moments of connection even more when they do happen. Final thoughts on these emotional shifts. Living alone in old age is more than just a lifestyle. It's an emotional journey filled with moments of reflection, growth, and self-discovery. The way we think about the past, our relationship with silence, and how we handle loneliness all play a significant role in shaping our experience. While there are challenges, there are also immense rewards. Solitude can be a teacher, helping us appreciate the richness of life in new ways. And as we continue exploring the next few things we do when living alone, one thing remains clear. This journey is unique to each individual, but it is always filled with lessons, surprises, and moments of deep personal insight. Stay with us as we dive even deeper into the next section of our exploration. As we continue to uncover the changes and habits that come with living alone in our later years, one thing becomes clear. Solitude is not just about adjusting to life without company. It's about learning how to find joy in the little things. The way we perceive the world shifts, and our priorities change. The things that once seemed ordinary now hold deep significance, and we begin to appreciate life in ways we never did before. In this section, we explore 3 more things that happen when living alone. Finding excitement in small daily victories, discovering new hobbies and passions, and redefining what happiness truly means. These changes show that even in solitude, life remains rich, meaningful, and full of discovery. 10. Finding excitement in small daily victories. When we live alone, every small achievement becomes something to celebrate. Unlike in earlier years when life was filled with big milestones, graduations, marriages, career promotions, our later years teach us that happiness is often found in life's simplest moments. There is a special kind of joy in waking up early and watching the sunrise while sipping a warm cup of tea. There's a sense of accomplishment in fixing something around the house without help or completing a book we've been meaning to read. Even something as simple as preparing a home-cooked meal can feel fulfilling when we do it just for ourselves, with no rush or expectations. These small victories add up, giving structure and meaning to daily life. They remind us that no matter how simple or quiet our days may seem, there is still beauty in accomplishing things, no matter how big or small. And perhaps most importantly, these moments teach us to appreciate life at a slower, more intentional pace. 11. Discovering new hobbies and passions. One of the greatest gifts of solo living is the ability to fully dedicate time to personal interests. Without the responsibilities of raising a family or managing a busy household, many people find themselves exploring hobbies they never had time for before. For some, this might mean taking up painting or learning to play a musical instrument. For others, it might mean gardening, writing, or even something as simple as doing crossword puzzles each morning. Some people find joy in collecting things, books, antiques, or even postcards from places they've never been. Others embrace technology, learning new skills online or joining virtual communities that connect them with like-minded individuals. Hobbies become more than just pastimes. They become sources of purpose, excitement, and self-expression. They keep the mind engaged, the hands busy, and the heart fulfilled. More importantly, they prove that it's never too late to learn, grow, and discover new passions. 12. Redefining happiness and finding peace in simplicity. Perhaps one of the most profound shifts that occur when living alone in old age is a redefinition of happiness. Over the years, we learn that joy is not about having a busy social calendar or constant external validation. Instead, it's about finding contentment in simplicity. Happiness becomes less about material things and more about experiences, enjoying a favorite song from decades past, feeling the warmth of the sun on our face, or reminiscing over good memories. It's about embracing life exactly as it is, without wishing for more or dwelling on what's missing. This doesn't mean that loneliness or difficult days don't exist, but those who learn to find peace in solitude discover a kind of happiness that is independent of outside circumstances. They appreciate the present moment, live life on their own terms, and take each day as it comes. Final thoughts on finding joy in solitude. Living alone in old age is not just about managing daily life. It's about learning how to truly live. Whether it's celebrating small victories, exploring new hobbies, or redefining happiness itself, the experience of solitude teaches us that fulfillment doesn't come from others. It comes from within. This journey is unique for each person, but one truth remains universal. Life does not lose its meaning just because we are alone. In fact, it often becomes even richer when we learn to appreciate the little things, embrace personal growth, and find joy in the simplest moments. As we move forward to the final sections of this journey, we'll continue exploring more aspects of solo living, proving that life remains full of possibilities, no matter our age or circumstances.